What's the strangest punishment your parents ever gave you? My parents said I was playing too much Skyrim when it came out, so they took the router with them to work every day. Good thing you don't need internet to play an offline single player game. For some reason my parents allowed my brother and I to have a very basic bow and arrow which we were allowed to shoot at a cardboard box in the backyard. I, being very young and very dumb, crawled into the box while my brother was firing. Parents were not pleased, and to demonstrate how dangerous what I had done was, they made me lay on the couch for the whole day and pretend I was in a hospital bed. When I was 10, Mom would take my Northeast's games for a week. When I was 13, Mom would take my SNES games for a week. When I was 16, Mom would take my blank floppy disks for a week. I didn't explain the mistake to her until I moved out. I had to fill cut open tennis balls with pennies. I'm still not sure what that was about. I was innocent BTW. Me and my sister were fighting after I tried to steal some of her chili fries and she stabbed me with a fork. Dad took us out back and tied us up face to face with a rope. Told us when you figure out how to work together you will be able to get out. I would get grounded to the front porch because when I was grounded in my room I would entertain myself with literally anything. Even lint from the carpet. So my dad finally had enough and made me sit on the front porch and I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone except to say that I'm grounded and can't talk. If I cursed, my mom would make me go into the bathroom and say every curse I knew while looking in the mirror so I could see how ugly I made myself look while cursing. Well, I learned that if I wanted to curse with impunity all I had to do was say ass and get sent to the bathroom where I could say any curse I could think of, punishment free, for as long as I wanted. Lol. If I misbehaved in a car, my mom would lower the window and say that a bad would fine if I'd continue to misbehave. I was not allowed to read unless it was specifically for school. My mom was pretty old school, so she wasn't against spanking which was my usual punishment. Strangest was when I made fun of my sister for wetting the bed, calling her a baby and stuff. My mom wasn't happy because I was making her cry and setting her back. So as a punishment she made me wear a pull-up whenever my sister had to. When I was little, my mom's go-to punishment was to make me kneel on uncooked rice for about 15 minutes. Had to keep the straight back or else the time was increased. She did this because that was how her mom punished her and her brother. She eventually stopped using this punishment after she set some clear boundaries with my very controlling grandmother. She never felt right making me do it. My little sister never had to go through it. I kind of resented that for a while, but eventually was grateful she didn't experience it. Withheld dinner and I was only allowed to have bread and butter. My mother is a terrible cook, so I was super okay with this. The buck rag. Still have nightmares. For those who don't know, a buck rag is a rag that's been rubbed all over a sweaty, oily, piss-soaked billy goat in rut, and is often used for goat breeding purposes. In our Alabama town, it became popular for parents to use these to punish children. Goat farmers would even sell the rags for the purpose. Basically the teenager would be taken outside, and the parents would remove the buck rag from the jar, drape it over the kid's face, and tie a knot in the back. Plenty of room to breathe, no room to avoid the smell. I never saw why everyone feared it so much until my parents gave it to me one night for sneaking around with my boyfriend at night. I puked a lot. I was always more the artist type. Didn't much care for throwing the football around or working on cars. I wasn't belittled or anything. My family let me do me. But my stepfather was an evil genius, and when I did something that was considered a minor infraction he'd give me the option of either going to bed early or staying up till my normal bedtime, but having to watch sports with him in the living room. And I couldn't just zone out or read. He'd sit there and make chit chat about the game, or try explaining the rules or the player's stats or something else I couldn't have cared less about. I'm 34 and we still laugh about that sometimes. Shit was brutal. My parents routinely took away my library card when I did something worth punishing. So I memorized it. When they caught on, they refused to go to the library with me for the duration of my punishment. So I started volunteering at the library once a week, so they had to take me. Dad made me splice together his old 8mm vacation films into a Vine-style highlight reel after I hurt his feelings by refusing to see Chef with him. I got a bad grade on a math test in elementary school. As my dad dropped me off for the day, I quickly told him he needed to sign something, the test. He was so furious that even though I was already late for school, he drove the 2 miles back home, spanked me and made me walk to school. I was so late. Forced to smell dog breath. Because if we have to deal with the filth from your mouth, then you have to deal with the filth from its mouth. I got this on numerous occasions. It sounds silly at first, but it was anything but at the time. I begged them to give me anything but that. Not really a strange punishment, but it turned out strangely, I think. When I was probably 5 or 6. Something happened. Literally can't remember what I did to deserve the punishment that caused my parents to send me to my room with no lights allowed on and the door closed. I'd never been able to sleep with the door closed and at least a light on in the hall or something till then. This time, I just went to sleep after a while in there with no lights. And that was the last time I needed lights on or the door open when I went to bed. Worked out well from my point of view. No punishment. And that in itself was punishment. I totally bombed during my first semester in college. I took 16 credits and ended up with a 0.77 GPA for the semester. Yes, less than 1.0. My parents were disappointed, but told me that they knew I could do better, and they knew I would do better. They forgave me and basically said, okay, so you screwed up. Now make it better and make us proud. The fact that they were not upset really weighed on me. It really put a ton of guilt and shame upon me, even though they didn't put those things on me. I did it to myself. It really motivated me to not dick around any longer in college. I buckled down and really succeeded. I was being a dick as a teen. I think I was 15 and tormenting my little brother by grossing him out. Stuff like burping in his face when he didn't expect it. Making him smell my feet, etc. And he really hated it. It made me laugh, and I called him a pussy for being grossed out so easily. After he came to her crying one day about it, my mom warned me that if I didn't stop, I'd be very sorry. I didn't listen. Worst mistake of my childhood. My mom ran a small doggy daycare / pet grooming business. The next time I did this to my brother, she put me to work cleaning filthy dog kennels, without gloves, and without a scooper. Worse, she introduced me to what dog anal glands are, which groomers often have to express. Around 3 times a day that week, I had to express dog anal glands. I was not allowed to wear gloves. I puked every single time. She planned on the punishment lasting all week. But my bro asked her to let me off the hook after he saw how defeated and broken I looked by Wednesday. A little brother. I still don't know what I did wrong. My dad's punishments were odd. If he caught me doing something I wasn't meant to, he wouldn't stop me from doing it. He'd make me do it more and more until I was sick of it. It worked quite well, tbh. Edit. So a lot of people seem to think I'm a guy. Sorry folks, I have a vagina. They were mad I was playing too many video games. Civilization, Master of Orion 2nd, World of Warcraft I, Final Fantasy I, 2, 3, Tactics, Ogre Battle, Urquan Masters. Okay. So I played lots of games. Closed bracket comma. So they made me go out with friends more. Now keep in mind, I did have friends and was social and would go out once or twice a week with them. But any video games were bad. So my parents forced me to go hang out in my buddy's garage, where they just drank and smoked up at 13 years old. A couple of them ended up getting into some serious drugs by around 16. And my parents still were forcing me to go hang out with them, because their parents were good people that will sort him out. Well, they never did. I always thought it was funny that they considered cerebral strategy games more damaging to my development than hanging out with 13 to 16-year-old drunks. One time when I was super young, I didn't eat all of the food on my plate. My dad told me I was gonna eat it or wear it. I was full and I said I'm not gonna eat it. Then my dad slammed my head into my plate of food. Definition was a very strange punishment.